Run it, baby. Ricky Cheese, baby.
Welcome to the Morning Grind with your boy, Ricky Cheese. The show is sponsored by Mustafa Family's Dunkin' Donuts. Today I'm joined by head coach of South Walton Beach High School, Travis Laxton, and as usual, my boy Jordan Cohn. Today we're going to discuss the Gator Cup Series in North Florida, South Walton's newest state-of-the-art training facility, a new 1A program in the state of Florida, Titusville Christian Prep, coached by the one and only Fox Baldwin, Florida legend, and 5-time state champion. We'll be discussing a little bit more, so sit back, grab your cup of Dunkin' Donuts coffee, and enjoy the show. I think across the board, we're tough for wrestling. I think we're at the point now where we can say we're a top 10 state in the country. I think we are.
Oh, easily.
For sure,
I think
right?
we are.
Top 10.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think we are, definitely. Think we are.
I mean, and we prove it with our results at Fargo every single year. I mean, we had four girls
between Fargo and, Tulsa Nationals and all of these major tournaments, man, Spartan. We're on the come up for sure. Like I would honestly say that I would agree. Yeah, top 10 state easily.
All we need is a D1 program.
If we had a D1 program here in the state,
when we have a D1 program here in the state.
So I don't know.
When are we going to get somebody with deep pockets to endow it?
Well, here's the thing: is I don't know if you guys saw that I had posted Chris Bono's Hall of Fame speech on my Facebook page, but he's talking about, and he said maybe we're letting the cat out of the bag a little early, but a lot of us that are from Florida are coming here, and we're trying to bring collegiate wrestling back to the state of Florida.
I shared it from your page to the Florida Wrestling Room.
So that was really cool. I mean, you're thinking, you got people like Lee Pritz and Bono and those guys that were all inducted this year that are going to be, I mean, if they're serious and they're really trying to bring it back, now you got to think like, where's the the easiest location for us to get it started? And in my opinion, I would say Florida State.
Oh, why?
Because of travel.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're down in UCF, you're deep down in the state, man. It takes you 5 hours just to get to the state line. And who are you going to wrestle? So especially if you're D1 program, you're looking at Florida State is 45 minutes from the Georgia line. You've got wrestling schools in Alabama. Now they're D2, D3 schools, but then you also have Little Rock that's right there. You've also got, you're not driving 4, 5, 6, 7 hours out of the deep part of the state. Instead, you're driving, 8 hours to Raleigh, to wrestle.
Or you got Life University in Georgia. They're a NAIA, but they're like a D1 team with their lineup.
Yeah. So, I mean, you take a look at that and, you're not instead of driving 12 hours and tacking on an extra 5 to come down from UCF all the way up, like Florida State would probably be the best logistical, scenario for anybody starting a D1 program. That's just in my opinion, man.
Yeah, I hope it happens, man. I really do.
And you got to think too, they're already ACC. ACC already has wrestling too. ACC already has wrestling, so you've got Duke, North Carolina, NC State. All those guys are ACC, and it would be nothing for the conference just to add one more program.
ACC as well. Appalachian State, they're ACC
no,
too.
they're like Mountain Conference or something.
Oh,
they're like MAC. No, not Mid Atlantic. They're somewhere. They're not ACC, but Virginia Tech is.
Okay.
Virginia Tech's ACC. So you've got 4 or 5 teams that are in the ACC already that support wrestling. So that would be an easy transition.
Good stuff.
Easy transition.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So what's the word this morning, Ricky?
The word this morning is I heard you guys had a pretty good tournament. yesterday.
Yeah, it was
Tell
fun.
us about that.
Um,
100 and how many kids?
there was about 130 kids
Okay.
through the signups and whatnots, and so it honestly just kind of fell on top of me. To be really honest, I didn't plan on hosting it. As a matter of fact, we were gonna host a tough guy, tough girl, or not tough guy, tough girl. Was at Tour of Florida. We were gonna host a Tour of Florida the following weekend, and that kind of fell through because I had bad planning. So, um, but Joe, McMillan, who runs the Gator Cup, he called me and
Yeah.
he's like, "Hey, Freeport's gym, they're using that gym for, graduation prep or whatever. We're not going to be able to get in there." He said, "Can you help me host this thing? Can you find a place to help me host it? Because I got to have another one that's, west of Tallahassee." He said, "I don't want them all in Tallahassee." I said, "Yeah, absolutely." So, he called me, we kind of made it happen. And then, it was it turned out to be really, really good. It turned out to be really, really good. We threw 3 mats down on the floor. It ran really smooth, which all of Joe's tournaments run really smooth. I pay him to do my Border Wars every year, and man, you can't ask for a better tournament director, to be honest with you.
No, Border Wars is always a really good tournament. We always hear that.
Oh yeah, we enjoy it. So yeah, there was some good wrestling there yesterday. I saw some of those. We had a couple of Georgia kids, a couple of Alabama kids, and they just looked, their technique looked tight yesterday. It looked really good.
Yeah.
So we're excited. A lot of really good promise, especially in North Florida.
I love hearing all that good news coming out of North Florida, man. North Florida is bigger now than I've ever seen it. For wrestling, you getting more studs coming out of North Florida, state champs coming out of North Florida. I mean, you've always had state champs coming out, but there's more now than I've ever seen.
Yeah, our depth is getting deeper.
Yeah, I think depth is getting better. And depth is key. Here's the issue. It's like in between North Florida and South Florida, you've got kids on top of kids on top of kids in South Florida. Everybody's so compact. If you're in Broward County, man, you don't have to drive anywhere to get good wrestling because everybody's right there. And the funny thing is the next high school closest to us is 25 minutes away.
Yeah.
So we're so spread out. But that I tell people this all the time is like anything north of Ocala is going to be farmland anyway. So you're looking at, until you hit Jacksonville, which, you can see why Jacksonville, you get a lot of good kids out of Jacksonville because they're just as compact as us, as South Florida is. But it's difficult. It's difficult because, your travel budget's a lot larger.
Right. It's funny. I'm in Georgia right now. I'm in Hinesville, Georgia, in the lobby of my hotel, the Fairfield by Marriott, and my wife's grandson graduated yesterday from Liberty County High School. So, thank you. We were up here. It's pretty cool. And it's funny because as we're driving up here on 95, I know the names of the towns, but I don't put it together until, like, for example, Ponte Vedra, we see a sign. I'm like, oh, Ponte Vedra. I got this one ranked, and that one ranked. So I'm associating the towns with the names of the kids who I've ranked there. She's looking at me like, are you an idiot? Like,
hey, that's a good way to learn your geography, Ricky.
I'm telling you. Then I saw Yulee. I'm like, oh, Yulee, that's the kid that transferred to Lake Highland Prep. He was a real tough kid. And oh, man. So, and it just seemed like as I was going further north, there was more and more kids that I was, naming off. And that's, that hasn't been a commonality until recently. You didn't see a tremendous amount of northern kids in the state rankings, and now you do. So, I just thought that was funny. As I'm driving through each town, I'm thinking of like 3 or 4 names that I know are ranked. So that was kind of cool. But now North Florida's coming around. So, Jordan, what's going on with you, brother? I know you hit a beautiful super duck. Tell me about that yesterday.
No, it was a good match with as we were talking, a little bit before. What was the dude's name, Travis?
TJ
TJ.
Lambiot.
Yeah.
TJ's my assistant coach here, and he's pretty darn good, man. He's a
How
West
old is he?
Virginia's. He's 24, 25.
Oh, he's a
He just
kid.
finished up at Ohio Valley right before they dropped the program. So yeah, I think he was like one of the last classes to come through Ohio Valley.
Jordan, that's even more impressive now. An old man like you
First
went
off,
3-2 with a 24-year-old kid just out of college.
I'm 34 next month, and
That's old.
Nah, bro, I'm still going, dude. I'm ageless. I'm the ageless wonder, son. No,
Let me ask you this.
I hit a
This
super
will
duck.
determine whether you're old or not. Let me ask you this. Have you pulled a muscle getting out of bed yet?
No, not yet.
Oh,
All right, so you got a couple more years.
I'm pretty good, man. I don't know what it is. But yeah, so I hit a good super duck, but it would be very cavalier of me not to mention that he did win the match 3-2 and beat my head in for the first like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I got the
Those
heavy
college
hands,
guys
dude.
are heavy on the head.
Yeah, but like
I will say that the way that Jordan got taken down in the first period might negate the fact that he had such a beautiful super duck, because he got taken down with a toe stomp.
yeah. Oh, dude, I didn't expect it. He hit me with the Alex Pereira, dude.
TJ just stepped right on his shoe and pushed him over, and I was like, "Oh, this is not
Yeah,
going
and
to
I
be
was
good."
just like, hey, I fought it a little bit, but here's the thing, though. I am very self-aware of the fact that if I was wrestling you, you were going to get at least one takedown on me. Like
Oh, yeah.
it's usually the first. I don't know what it is, but it's just like I'm going to give you one, and then I'm going to wrestle back. I like wrestling in adversity. I think it is. So
Yeah, it's probably not
that's
always the best way to go.
Either that or it takes
but-
you a minute to get your motor cranked.
Right.
Yeah, honestly, I do. I tell kids all the time too. Like I'm like, you have to get warmed up, man. Like make sure you get that sweat going, and don't wait too late, because you don't want to give up those 2 points that end up meaning things. Like that's something that I really, not put into perspective, but like there's a lot of matches I think I would have won if I had gotten a better warm up. So I really do try to impart that on my wrestlers. But it was a great match, dude. I loved it. I'm super appreciative of him and the other guy that hopped in it. I would love to see more guys get into it,
So would you
Win
get
or
2
lose.
matches?
Yeah, I got 2 matches. It was fun.
Who was
though.
the other guy?
I'd have to look it up. He was a state qualifier from Florida. He was even
Good
good
young
too,
kid?
man, dude. He hit me with we talk about, that super duck and everything, and that's cool and all that. But I was even looking back at that match, and I went to go drag out, and he hit a shuck as I was dragging. I was like, oh man, that's really good. I'm gonna teach my kids that next time I show, because I show that shuck or that throw by a lot, or I show that drag out, and I show them that shuck by a lot. And now I have like that sequence that I can show them, like, hey, you feel that drag coming, you can, here's another option that you can, do off it, or that's an extension that I can use off of it. And it's something that ended up getting used on me. Like, it was nice. It was slick. So it was fun, man. I enjoyed both matches. I'm appreciative of both guys.
I'd be appreciative if it turned the air on in this lobby, because I'm sweating my ass off. It is hot in here.
Well, so it's something that we were kind of talking about. I'd love, me and Ricky might start at open division rankings. Get all these 24,
listen.
get all these
what do you think
24 to
about
30
that?
guys.
And there's no
What do
way
you think
that you
about
would
that,
ever
Trav?
get me to step foot back in on that. Years
what
and
I'm
years of
worried
the
about.
grind, dude. I think my competition
gonna
days
rank?
are behind me. What's that?
Who are we going to rank? I said, yeah, it would be fun to do an open division rankings, but who are we going to rank? We got like 2 guys.
Hey, listen, when they did a Gator Cup at the Swanee, it was you had kids like Sean Brown and Aaron Fountain, Dean Shingola. All of those kids would be state placers, state qualifiers, state champs. So most
Austin
of those guys,
Howard.
I want to say that there was like 6 kids in the open division there.
Yeah.
Was there? Okay.
Yeah. All the Gator Cups have had every Gator Cup they've had so far has had guys in the open division, and it's all been, different people. There hasn't been the same guy at so the interest is out there. And then you got to imagine how big do you think it would get in South Florida? Like, how often do we get guys that
don't they do the fat and bald down there?
I was just going to ask about that. They just had that.
Classic.
Does anybody know how many entries they had? That would
I don't
tell
know,
the story
but
right
the funny
there.
thing is that they split up those divisions too. So, like, there's like a senior masters, a seniors, and then the open, so that you're not wrestling kids like TJ fresh out of college,
Yeah.
So they come in and they split up those divisions, but it's pretty neat. I think I had a flyer around here somewhere for that, but it was pretty cool.
See, I
I
feel like
think
if
Jason Westlager tried to do one of those, or at least tried to get me to wrestle in one of those 2 years ago. I don't know. I can't remember, but it looked pretty cool. It looked pretty cool. I saw a bunch of flyers floating around the state tournament for it. So
Yeah.
I just think if you started, I think that you could get some, those guys that are fresh out of college or, are, over under that 30. Like, I don't think I'm going to try and compete against, fresh out of college wrestlers, for the next 10, 15 years. But I think you could get a lot of guys that are in Florida that, float around and like, especially in South Florida, dude. How many ex D1, D2, D3 NAIA guys that are like really good are probably just floating around, whether like military or they moved to Orlando or something. And you could, run an open tournament, or you could run a tournament and have the open division, and then these kids can see these guys wrestling at these stuff.
yeah,
Like I
I would love to
not
do it. I really would love to do it. I just like the rankings I'm talking about. I'd love to do an open rankings. I just honestly, not to piss on your parade, Jordan, I just don't see enough people competing,
well,
to
and at least
substantiate
not
the rank.
consistently. At least not
Right. That's the
consistently. Like you
problem.
may get them in like one or two, like maybe
Right.
once, maybe twice, but you know,
Or maybe the
rank
rankings
clearance
would
ain't good
encourage
enough.
them to do it more often,
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
having the
maybe,
rankings would
maybe,
encourage them to do it more.
Hey,
yeah,
that's how
maybe.
professionals is. You don't get as many matches. It's just the ones matter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Uh,
yeah.
So
Very
we got
possible.
next week, or not next week, but I think the week after, we got that big tournament at the next to the Silver Spurs. The It's the Fargo
SummerSlam.
qualifier and then the Spartan Nationals Fargo
Yeah. Oh yeah,
qualifier
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Oh
That's
yeah,
going to
you're
be
gonna see
good.
a lot of really good kids there. A lot of
Yeah.
really good kids.
Is Zach taking anybody down there, Travis? Do you know?
I'm sure he is. We haven't talked about it, but I'm sure he is. I'm
You
not
got
as
to
involved in
wrestle in it to
Coastline
qualify for
Wrestling
Fargo.
Academy anymore. What's that?
I said you got to wrestle in it to qualify for Fargo.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sure that he's going to take 5 or 6 kids, but that's something you'll have to talk to Zach about. I'm not as involved in Coastline Wrestling Academy anymore. We kind of, TJ is going to be running our club here and wanted to run his own, and so I'm taking a step back from club wrestling. We hosted that tournament, but it was more so that Joe could complete his series than for us. So TJ reopened. I used to have So All Elite before I stepped in with Coastline, and so TJ has reopened So All Elite Wrestling Club, and he's going to be running practices come June 1st. As soon as we finish our renovations for our brand new one and only wrestling room here at South Walton High School, so we're super stoked about that. So he'll be running those. He'll be running the club out of our new wrestling room right there on campus.
Where were y'all practicing before? Up at the middle school?
No, we the high school team practiced at the VPK school, which used to be called Bay Elementary, but now it's just called the Bay School, and it was it's right next to the middle school. It was about 15 minutes from the high school, so we were off campus, which really really hurts your numbers. You got to roll out mats every day. That's going to take an hour. So finally, we got approval to raise some money and to renovate the old weight room. So I don't know if you guys know about this in little old North Florida, but South Walton High School is now undergoing a huge renovation. Brand new football stadium, brand new 10,000 square foot multi-purpose room, 18 classroom addition. And so we're starting to grow a lot. And that being said, they wanted us back on campus. The administration has been super supportive of getting us back on campus, along with our athletic director Phil Tiza, and so we're Right now, we've raised about 10 grand to start renovating our wrestling room. It was the old weight room, which we'll stick 10 weight racks in, a brand new 40 by 40 wrestling mat, 3-piece Resolite, wall padding. We're doing Dopaminio bands, all of those, couple of takedown dummies listed to the wall, crash pads, throwing dummies, man, the works. So we're super excited about doing some stuff like that. And
cool.
I think that that's really going to help grow our program a lot. So TJ's going to be running that come June 3rd, I should say, will be that Monday. So we're going to try and get everybody, all of our kids back in there, finish up our renovations and, get back to the grind.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
That's
that's
got to be
really good.
exciting, man.
Oh, super exciting. I think that by the time that we're done, we'll probably have one of the best wrestling rooms in North Florida. So, a single mat, yeah, would it be nice to have, 3 mats on the floor and a weight room and a locker room, which we'll have, weight racks. We'll have 10 racks in there, which is pretty big.
Yeah.
Plus a 40 by 40, equipment closets, lockers. We've got it all, man. It's going to be awesome. So
That's
I
cool.
would say that it will, by the time we're done, it will be one of the best, if not the best wrestling room in North Florida. So
Very cool.
the neat
Hey,
thing is like you wait and you buy your time and then something great happens.
yeah, that's it, man. It's just, you guys deserve it, man. You guys deserve it.
It
Hey,
helps
Jordan,
having
who's this Duggar guy? Who's Anthony Duggar?
Oh, it's some dude that I saw on like, so I was feeling all good about myself competing at 30, 33, 34, and then I see this dude that's like 60, competing, throwing down against a kid with some pretty good, decent technique and everything. So,
Dude, I saw
Whoa,
a
where was
video.
this?
I saw a video on the Florida Wrestling Room Facebook page, and I'm looking at this guy, and I'm like, who is that guy? And then I see the video, and he didn't look horrible, man.
no, he didn't look too bad, man. And I was like, damn, dude, look at him go. Where are you at, Ricky?
I can't do it, bro. I would love to. I just can't. I'm so beat up, bro. Both my shoulders, my knees, my hip. Dude, I'm 56 years old, bro. And I know I could get on the mat and do it, but I move wrong just one little thing wrong, and I'm done. I'm
It's
done.
just not fear
I
of
want to
failure.
do it
It's
though.
fear
Lori
of
won't
heart
let me.
Yeah,
failure.
And my kids told me
going
you're
out on
not
your
stepping on
soils.
that.
Yeah.
What about
She won't
what
let me.
about what about jiu-jitsu? Would you ever get back into that, or would you ever get into that?
I would love to. I did jujitsu a long time ago. I would do that. It's a great workout, man.
Yeah, I was telling Travis, I'm like, you should get into it, man. You would run through people. They would charge you for murder entering into like a
Oh
beginner
yeah,
division.
I
yeah.
don't need to go to jail now, Jordan.
No, I'm just kidding. No, but
No, it's
you'd
like
have fun.
legal.
Like if they teach like after like a couple of weeks they teach you a couple submissions, man. You'd run through some tournaments. Like it would.
We have a jiu-jitsu guy here in town, and he seems pretty good. I've met with him a couple of times about setting up my elementary club over there, but now with the new wrestling room going in, I don't think we'll have to do that. But he looked pretty
Oh,
cool. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I just don't want anybody ripping my knee out. But
so here's my
Right.
here's my thing with like wrestling, and so with wrestling, I wish like a lot of clubs would offer something past 18. Like I was talking with, I think it was
Yeah.
maybe you, Travis, or maybe Ricky, but like how many people do we like once they hit 18? It's like, okay, see you later, go do something else, or you can come back and coach. It's not like, okay, here's another class that we can have you take. I think so. We were talking about Josh Barnett, who is a big promoter of catch wrestling, which is submission, like a submission with submission wrestling, right? Like where it's really
Yeah.
heavy on the wrestling. I wish there was more people, or maybe a BJJ guy that was like, all right, I'm going to teach submissions, with your, to cultivate or to cater to that wrestling base you've developed for 5, 6, 7, in Travis's case, 25 years. I think that would flourish in a lot of clubs. Then we would be able to retain a lot of that money that we'd otherwise lose. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like we're shooting ourselves in the foot once kids hit a certain age.
Isn't it doesn't the UFC and like most MMA most of those MMA, I guess, conglomerates or whatever, those MMA companies that are putting on all these fights like Bellator and things like that, they have rules against you just sitting and pulling guard like jiu-jitsu stuff
it's boring.
because they want to encourage takedowns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like watch some of Josh Barnett's stuff. Watch some of the catch wrestling opens that they're doing out west. And like you'll be like, okay, this is pretty entertaining because you have guys that are like, trying to take you down, trying to get to that side control, trying to like, not
it's a more aggressive jiu-jitsu, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I get what like a jiu-jitsu player would say too, but like, oh well, the game is to try and like submit you, to try and tap you out as fast as possible. It's like, yeah, but we can do that with wrestling, but we try to do stuff that enforces action. And I think it would take off, dude. I would love to see you in a grappling match with some jiu-jitsu dude, Travis. You would light them up.
Listen, I would I will say that for the longest time, Sheridan Moran, who was coaching over at Jesuit High School in Louisiana, is a college teammate of mine. Every time we would go over there, he's like, "Come on, man, just put a gi on, let's go." And I'm like, "No, I don't.
Don't do the gi. Don't even put the gi. Don't put the gi on yet. Don't even worry about the gi. Just go in there with go in there with the rash guard, some fight shorts, and then just light people up. And then if you like it, you put on the gi later."
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll take.
I'm looking at the schedule
it out. I could
of
stand to get a good workout
on the
in
FloridaWrestling.com.
You
that's what it's about, man.
Click on the schedule section.
Do it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Okay, so I'm on the schedule section of the FloridaWrestling.com website. There's a Gator Cup series at Childs High School on June 1st. And it's the same weekend for the Team Florida qualifier for Fargo. Why do they do that? Why, everything, not just them. I see it all over the place. Different, tournaments are scheduling. Like another one, I'm sure there's tournaments scheduled June 6th through 8th, which is the Knockout Summer Slam. And then you got like a million of them on June 15th. I don't know why they do that.
Well, while it might limit some participation at some of these bigger tournaments like SummerSlam and the FAWA, we're again trying to grow freestyle and Greco in North Florida. So the participation just isn't there. These kids are going to, either don't think that they're at the caliber to wrestle in some of those tournaments or don't know the style. So
no, that's a valid point.
It's difficult. It's difficult because there's not many people here in North Florida that coach a lot of freestyle and Greco. Like we coach it. Zach Deaton coaches it. I think that Andy Siegel, he does a little bit with his son Bear, and I don't know who else goes over there. And I guess what is that? Gulf Coast Grapple Academy or whatever, Black Sheep, whatever it may be. That club, they do some freestyle Greco stuff. No, Black Sheep. Black Sheep. Black Hive's in Jacksonville. My nephew actually goes to that club. Yeah. I like that coach.
Daniel
does a good job.
Humes. Is it Daniel Humes?
Yes, Daniel. Coach Daniel. He does a great job. I sat and talked with him for a little bit. Yeah, he's a great guy. Great guy. And he does a really good job. I can really see some progress in my nephew. So, over Christmas break, when he comes in, we'll beat the tar out of him. But he's only 4, so.
4. So funny.
Yeah, and he still gets taken down by my 1-year-old. It's the next generation, man. It's the next generation. There'll be 3 of them.
Can't wait to see.
My brother has a son too.
There's gonna be Laxton's wrestling in Florida till friggin' 2090
for years and years, man. Years and years.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it was funny because Fox Baldwin and I were talking at the state tournament, and his son, I think he's got 2 sons, maybe 3 now, and then his brother has a couple of kids, and they'll all be in the same age group again. And he goes, "Oh, crap." I said, I say, well, good. It'll be good for them to train together and wrestle against each other. That's how they get better. So
Shit, they don't even have to drive to a tournament. Just throw a mat down in the living room. Same shit. Let them go, man.
yeah, yeah.
Beat the tar out of each other at home. Why drive an hour?
That's right. That's right. So it's gonna be pretty good, man. I'm excited about that generation. I'm starting to see like a lot of kids that, or a lot of guys that I wrestled having kids that are gonna be in our age. So and even more so, it's encouraging to see that because we're all gonna be hanging out and coaching at those tournaments and watching our kids compete against each other. And it's it circles back to that wrestling family. You know what I mean? Like anytime that you meet somebody, whether you know them or you don't, you see some cauliflower ear from across the restaurant, you're like, hey, man, did you wrestle or fight?
Yeah.
Well,
I
I mean,
say that all the time. There's
all the time.
I mean, it's also cool too. Like, I think about this at all the little local tournaments that you and I and Sean show up. It's like, oh, look at all the Swanee State champions here, just like hanging out. Like, I always enjoy that little quick realization. Like, oh, look at us, all three of us. Got to bring our rings sometime.
Yeah, there were 3 of us in one gym yesterday. State champs.
That's what I'm saying.
No matter where you're from, whether it's Florida or another state, even when you see the cauliflower or you guys wearing a wrestling T-shirt or whatever it is that identifies them as a former wrestler, at least for me and probably for you, it's just like an instant respect. You feel like this brotherhood where you can just start talking like you've known each other for years, right?
We didn't even have to bleed together, bro. I just know that you went through the same stuff that I did.
Exactly. Yep.
And it all sucked, and I commend you for embracing the suck.
Yep.
Dude, one of my favorite compliments, some girl was like, it came up that I was a wrestler, and she's like, oh, I thought you were a wrestler. You walk like one. I was like, thank you.
That's how you carry yourself, man.
Yeah, I'm like, I appreciate that.
Thank you. I used to get told that all the time, dude. All the time. You walk like a wrestler.
Yeah.
Like I am a wrestler.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
Arms out, chest out.
Exactly. Yep. That's it, man. That's it. No doubt. But yeah, the future is definitely bright for Florida wrestling with all the little ones coming up and the ones that are in middle school now that are getting ready to start wrestling as 8th graders for Fox Baldwin at that new forgot what I call it, what the name was, but I can't wait to watch that.
Titusville
Christian Prep.
Yeah.
Titusville Christian Prep. Yeah. Where exactly is Titusville? That's got to be in what? The
Astronaut,
Brevard area?
Is it an astronaut?
I think so.
I have no idea where Titusville is.
Well, that'd be
My
a good
geography
question.
sucks.
Home of
I'll
Daniel
have to
Tosh.
be driving somewhere, and then I'll be able to put a name to the city.
Oh, let's see. It's not as
somebody look
south
it
as
up.
I thought it would be.
Where is it?
Titusville looks like St. Augustine area almost. No, it's in Oviedo, like west of Oviedo, Mims, Merritt Island. Merritt Island would be the best way to describe it.
Merritt Island has a strong program.
Dude,
Okay,
they just got just got stronger. Merritt Island just got stronger because Tim Boda, Timmy Boda from First Baptist Naples, took 3rd in the state last year as an 8th grader. He transferred. His dad called me. He goes, you got to move him in the rankings. He's not at First Baptist. He's going to Merritt Island. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah, dude, I saw it when I didn't
getting stronger.
I didn't really know who they were. Then we got to state and I saw they qualified 11. I'm like, damn, dude, look at them. Like I was seeing Merritt Island singlets everywhere.
What's interesting too is and I'd like to get you guys' opinion on this. What do you think about this, school transfer stuff? Like I see kids transferring. In high school.
Here.
In high school, man. I see
it's epidemic.
It's an epidemic. Like
Travis,
you want to go to the good school, but like, or the cool school or whatever. I don't, or school with better wrestling or get you more recognition. But at the same time, I feel like there's no sense of loyalty. It's not like when we grew up, like you just didn't transfer. Like you don't.
Travis, where do you think I came from?
I mean, I understand.
I went to 3 schools, but
I understand.
Not on purpose.
I was at Bay. I was underperforming at state, and I saw Merritt get to the finals, and I saw your dad had been like, "Hey, you look good in green." I'm like, I would look good in green to that.
Here's how I feel. here's
But
my
you were
here's my
one.
whole
Do what?
You know, I said you were one kid. You know, it's
Yeah, but I mean, it's the same thing though.
you didn't have, but you didn't have that. Like I couldn't. Could you name another kid that transferred in, like aside from yourself, that wasn't already there?
no,
no,
Swanee doesn't get a lot.
not because
No,
your
that's
dad didn't try
nobody
though.
moves to Swanee High School. Nobody moves
But
to Swanee County.
but nobody's moving out either. You're
That's
keeping
the
what you
point.
got.
Like, yeah, we always retain what we had, but it's
Do you
crazy to
think?
me that these
Pull it
kids
up right
just
now, actually.
are
Do you? Th-
moving back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I don't know if it's that they're trying to get exposure or what, or if they just want to go find practice partners. It just, to me, being an old school soul, I guess, there's no sense of tradition or loyalty to your alma mater or anything like that.
There's not.
It's crazy.
There's not.
but you also have to kind of put in perspective that you were, you had that opportunity of having like this, really, really good team that you were a part of that had that expectation of greatness, somebody
Yeah.
that's coming from a school that's like, hey, I think there's nothing wrong with, recognizing like, hey, this school got me really far and I'm appreciative of it, but I'm trying to get to the next level.
Right.
And I like, even when I transferred, there wasn't really anybody that was like, oh, I can't believe it. They're like, all right, hey, go for it. We're
Yeah.
excited for you to go to that next level, and we understand.
Yeah.
I think that can speak to that coach's ability to get a kid that's like, all right, I got that one. Just like you had Joe Pasucci on Grinding for Greatness saying, I build a team where if I have a kid that leaves, I got someone that replaces them. Like
Exactly.
I know that nobody left Swanee, but if you had someone that left, or we have someone that graduate, your dad had someone ready to fill those shoes. It wasn't
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's like, all right, good luck. Next generation's here.
Which is why I think that middle school wrestling is so important. Like
Yeah.
middle school and elementary school wrestling is so important because you can build those kids up before they ever hit high school. They may sit a year on JV, but if they've got to be ready to step in. They got to be ready to step in. And we've had some kids like that, man. They're just ready to step in at any moment in time, to get some wrestling. It's just I don't know. It's a different feeling when you have kids like from First Baptist Naples who placed top 3 this year.
Took third as
Yeah,
an
they
eighth
took
grader.
third. So as a team, like you're losing a really good kid to Merritt Island, and they had the potential to be winning state titles in between Somerset and Mater Lakes. So it's like, do you transfer, or do you, like, is there a sense of selfishness there where to me, an individual state title is freaking awesome. But if you won it as a team, it would feel 10 times better. You know what I mean? Because now you're able to, you're not just able to have one yourself. Like everybody else around you gets one. Everybody else around you gets a ring when you win the team title.
Right.
So it's like, why would you transfer when you have the ability to win one as a team? Like, I don't know. I just feel like sometimes wrestling gets away from, it still is a team sport. Like, yeah, if I do my job, our team does well. So obviously I want to wrestle the best that I can wrestle. But at the same time, if I know that hey man, we placed third last year, we just need like 1 or 2 more guys to step their game up and start working with those guys. You could be right there in the mix for a state title. Like that's, as a team title. That kind of sense of loyalty and forethought is what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, we could win this together.
Yeah, I think once it got opened up at the college level, that it became more prevalent in the high school level. Everything trickles down, I think.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask you too. Do you think NIL will ever trickle down into, high school wrestling?
Oh, it already has. It already has.
Oh, how?
It already has. Well, oh man,
Give me an
I've been seeing and it's state by state. It's just not here yet, but in Louisiana, because we're so close, we're only 3 hours from Louisiana where I'm at. So in Louisiana, they've got kids that are signing NIL deals with local businesses, and those businesses are supporting those kids, and it's unreal. It's unreal. So it's
That's
prevalent now.
crazy.
Like I know that there were 2 or 3 kids from Brother Martin that had NIL deals with businesses and corporations, man, just for name, image, likeness. And they were using them. They were using them in commercials and radio shows and all kinds of stuff. And they got a set, I think it was like a set number. I think one kid made like $25K and another kid made, $5,000 or, 25K for a kid at 16 is more money than he could ever imagine. You know what I mean? Like,
Hey,
Right.
that pays for
25K for an adult right now is a lot of money.
hey,
yeah,
that helps pay
absolutely.
for that helps pay for
I'll
tournaments
take
and
25
stuff.
grand right now.
Yeah, you could do some serious wrestling travel with 25K. You
For
know what I
sure.
mean? And I don't care
Oh, yeah.
if you slap your sponsorship on the back of my singlet. I'll wear the snot out of it if
Right.
you're going to pay me
Yeah.
25K.
Right.
You know
That's
what I
what I was
mean?
gonna,
Like,
Exactly.
that was my next question. Like, how do you feel about that? Do you think that it's good?
I
Do you
think it's good for
or do you
wrestling.
think
I think it's good for wrestling. I think that once you make the kid popular, the sport becomes popular.
Yeah.
That's just what
I
it
agree,
is.
I agree with
You give
Travis
you
100%.
give people something to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you got people watching like, why is this kid the big talk? What's so big? Let's watch this kid. Let's see what's the big deal, Why does everybody
Exactly.
want him? I agree. I
Exactly.
think it's good for wrestling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're gonna see a huge like jump in like the or like the technical ability of wrestlers in the next like 10, 15 years because these kids will literally just get paid to train at like 9th grade, 10th grade.
Well, you've got Brian up there, Brian Smith at Missouri, and he did an interview, and they actually asked him, they were like, Brian, what do you think about NILs? And he goes, oh, wrestling's been prepared for NILs for years. And he said, as a matter of fact, he said, I would beg the reason that wrestling coaches were more prepared for NIL than any other coach in the country and any other sport across the board because they're used to raising money. We're used to going
Yeah.
out and getting money. And
We just
so
had Brian on the show 4 nights ago. We talked about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. And he was doing that interview. I can't remember. It was some press conference or whatever. And I was just watching it because I like Brian a lot. I
He's
actually got to hang out with his son some when we were in Tulsa 2 years ago. And he's a great dude. And
Which
does a
son
lot for
did
the
you hang
sport.
out with? Quinn?
Maybe. I think it was.
Quinn wrestled at Missouri for his dad.
Yes. Yeah, it was Quinn.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah,
actually,
Quinn's a
I think
cool-
my dad
cool
even
dude.
took a picture with him, got in with a picture with him. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Good people.
But we enjoyed that, and talking with those guys and hanging out with those guys. So it was neat. It was neat. But yeah, he said, listen, we've been grinding and raising money for our programs that, it's nothing for us to just step back out and say, hey, we really want this kid. Like, would you sponsor him? Like, give him an NIL. Let's get him over to Missouri. Let's really, let's really help this kid get here and be successful. And that's an easy sell for somebody. One, for somebody who's in, who's been in wrestling and knows wrestling, and an easy sell for somebody who, doesn't know wrestling and just wants to start supporting a program, and then they become familiar with wrestling, which only spreads our sport.
You know who you'll never ever see with leave their school for NIL, and I heard this on another podcast. You'll
Carter
never see
Starachi.
Yanni Carter. You'll never see Yanni Diakomahalis from Cornell.
Yeah.
He won't go. He said, "I'm loyal. I'm not going nowhere."
Yeah.
He wouldn't leave for $1 million. He said, "No, nope.
How old is
Staying
Yanni?
where I'm at. 25,
Yanni's
26,
probably 26.
25 or 26. Yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
he's
For-
Bryce's age, so
Hey,
25, 26.
forever's a long time, man. You know what I'm saying?
When they
you've been
dangle
seeing
$1
all of
million
this stuff about
cash.
DT. You've been seeing all this stuff about
Yeah.
DT trying to pull kids and, like hitting the transfer portal and bringing these kids into OSU. And it's like, I saw this tweet by Carter. He's like, oh yeah, they made me an offer and I told them to go wipe their butt with that money. Like but it's so interesting to me because, you're thinking like that money really could change kids' lives. Like, Maybe
Oh,
he
yeah.
doesn't need it because I'm sure Kale was like, "Listen, man, I'll get you $1 million NIL here. Just stay, win your
Right.
5th title. You know, like
Mhm.
you don't have to go over there to win a national title. You can win one here. You just won 4 here.
Right.
That's an easy sell for
Right.
somebody like that. They've got the
Yeah.
money. Nittany Lion Wrestling Club's got the money. The
Yep. They got the
program,
training center right
PSU's got the
there.
money. Yeah,
RTC.
RTC.
Yeah.
Well, I do like that that David Taylor has decided to keep Dayton Fix to help run that RCT or that RTC over there in OSU, which is going to be huge.
It'd be stupid to not have him run it. Who else?
Absolutely.
He's the perfect one.
Yeah,
Perfect.
absolutely. Him running it with Gilman there, and it's and what's the other guy's name? That ran pretty much PSU's practice time there. What's the other fella's name? The associate.
Jimmy Kennedy.
Yeah, Kennedy. Which I didn't know this, but David's married to his sister.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I did not know this. Somebody, I think TJ had to tell me about it, but it was David Taylor's married to Kennedy's sister, which I guess is why the ties are so tight there.
Yeah.
But it's cool. Or maybe it was Scott Simpson that was telling me that. But either way, it's pretty neat to watch. Because I follow those forums and things like that. It's pretty neat to watch those guys, how they're about to build that program. People were upset about Coleman Scott not taking it over, and I'm like, I think this is a better move, to be honest with you. And now there's talks about Coleman Scott going over to Penn State. So
Coleman Scott needs to go somewhere. I think
he's going to run the RTC over there.
I think he was under the impression on a verbal commitment that he would be the next guy. Yeah, come on over. John Smith, whatever. Hey man, and I don't know. I'm just saying this is what I think. A verbal commitment. Hey man, come on over. I'm getting ready to retire. And then thinking that DT would make the Olympics. When he didn't make the Olympic team, now he was available, and it hurt Coleman's chances. So I think Coleman kind of got screwed a little bit, but I think he'll land on his feet somewhere and he'll be just fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and that's what I was saying is I think that that PSU has reached out to Coleman Scott and asked them to come run as RTC. So at least that was the last thing I read on the forum. So it's going to be interesting. I have no doubt that Coleman Scott's going to be successful anywhere he goes. He's got nothing to worry about because I think he's a phenomenal coach. But
he'll probably make more money running the RTC there than he'd make anywhere else.
I think so too.
Because like you said, they've got plenty of money.
They've got plenty.
Yep. All right, Jordan. It's about that time, my brother. I got to run up to the room, help Lori pack. Anything else you want to say real quick?
No, sounds good, man. I'm ready to get my day started. I got that morning grind out the way.
There you go. Sir. Hey, guys, I appreciate you having me on. I love chatting with you.
Of course. Thanks for coming on, Travis. Where are you going to church now with the fam?
Yes, sir. I'm giving back. So,
good.
Good. We go to church near about every Sunday, and church starts at 10, and I still got my hair to do. So
there you go. Well, thanks for coming on. We'll get with you in a little bit.
Awesome, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, my man. Take care.